Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend. Ben and I have a great show for you today. In the second hour, we're going to have a guest from NAIMA, N-A-I-M-A. That's the North American Insulation Manufacturers Association. We're going to be talking about products that are used that are environmentally safe for home. And we're going to find a technology angle to that somehow.
At any rate, it's still a good thing to talk about because fall is generally the time that you want to start thinking about insulation because the winter months are just around the corner.
Yes.
So
Yes,
you get yourself properly insulated, and you're going to save yourself a lot of money.
1 minute until showtime.
I find just avoiding people is the best way to have the best form of insulation. Another story. In the first hour, we're going to have a returning guest from My Digital Shield. Andrew Bagran is here with us once again, and he is the CEO of My Digital Shield. And once again, it is October, being National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We had him on last year, and we're having him on again. So sit back, relax, enjoy 2 hours of Computer America coming right at you. Ten seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And welcome into. Hope all of you had a wonderful weekend here at Computer America. We had a wonderful weekend, as we always do. And
someone call the proper agency. Craig Crossman has us working on a holiday.
Yeah, it's Happy Columbus Day. Columbus Day. Exactly.
Columbus Day. Oh, and also, as our first hour guest pointed out to me earlier today, it's so weird. Like they're like right next door to us, and I really don't pay attention. They're just so modest and quiet. They don't like talk about themselves. But today is Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yes, that's right. I called Marcel Gagnier, and I said hello, and he says, you're interrupting dinner. He says it's a Canadian version of Thanksgiving, and so.
Fun fact: I actually looked up an article about it because I just haven't really heard about it. But a fun little fact is that actually Canada has claim to the first Thanksgiving ever.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Martin Frobisher. He was an explorer looking for the Northwest Passage in 1578, and he had the first Thanksgiving with with Native Americans. So. Yeah, 1578, and I actually like this quote here. His biographer, James McDermott, he actually has a quote here about him, and I don't know if it's mean or not, but it's pretty funny. He says, quote, "A man possessed with the absolute will to achieve, yet lacking the intuitive qualities of the true achiever." So.
Well, what year did he sail?
1578.
So in 1578, Martin Frobisher sailed.
No, it's not about the rhyme. But I do like the quote. Again, a man possessed with the absolute will to achieve, yet lacking the intuitive qualities of the true achiever. Okay. Said of him.
Well, I'm going for the rhyme. In 1598.
That's hilarious, though.
1598, Frobisher.
It doesn't rhyme.
Yes, it does. In 1598, Frobisher.
78.
In 17. What is it?
1578.
Frobisher sailed the ocean. That was great.
No, not good. Not good.
Better than 1498, 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Okay, no. Right. Anyhow.
So happy Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yes, and happy Columbus Day. to all of you here in America. And anyhow,
Honestly, I hope Columbus Day goes away. It's Columbus. The more we learn about him in recent years, just because we've taught so much about him in the past, as we really start to
learn about
unravel just who he was and what he did to the Native Americans, he becomes less of a heroic first-time explorer kind of person, and more of a kind of a villain of history if you really think about it. So hopefully Columbus Day, it's already out in I want to say in Nevada or one of those states out there already doesn't celebrate Columbus Day. They do Leif Erikson Day. Hopefully that gets more popular instead.
Italian Americans will probably never let that happen.
It's weird to hear how much power they have in lobbying and keeping this, but really, I think it's a public knowledge kind of thing. So once people learn what he really did, I have no doubt that Leif Erikson will reign supreme.
So we'll have Leif Erikson Day rather than.
Yep.
Okay.
Leif Erikson. Whatever you want to call him.
Leif. I don't know. All right. Well, so much for the history lesson on today's show. And
history's good for you. It expands your mind to know what came before.
In the second hour, we're going to be joined by the North American Insulation Manufacturers Association, or NAIMA. I guess making an acronym out of that is hard to do, but NAIMA, I guess it is. We're going to be talking about, it's October, it's time to rebuild, and we're going to be talking about the technology behind the materials that are used in construction. It's going to be, and we're going to have the Stacy Fitzgerald-Red, who is the Director of Communications, going to be joining us here, and for the second hour. And in the first hour, we're going to be joined once again by My Digital Shield. Andrew Bagrin is going to be joining us here. If you remember last year at the same time, October being National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, so he's back with us in the first hour. Now, if you have a comment or a question for our guests, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you in our new time slot, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. I'll get you on and get you through. If you don't want to call, for whatever reason, you're a little shy, but you can still contact us. Just go to computeramerica.com, which is the internet home of our radio broadcast, Computer America. And at the upper right-hand corner of every page at computeramerica.com, it'll say Submit a Question. Just click on that link, and it'll go to our question submission page. You can type in your question or comment, click the Submit button, and Ben and I will see it instantly, and we'll be able to ask your question of our guest or read your comment or whatever it is. So otherwise, you can join us. The other nice thing that we like for you to do is join our live video stream. That's right. Computer America is a radio talk show, but we also make our video stream available to you at computeramerica.com. Just click on the Show Lounge selection on the menu of any page at computeramerica.com. It'll automatically take you to our video streaming page. It'll start up automatically, and you can watch the show. You can see myself. You can see our guests. You can see Ben. And Ben also has that amazing technology that allows you to see websites, videos, movies in the background, so you can also watch all of that at computeramerica.com. Of course, we still love to hear from you. 347-884-8881. Anything else you want to mention before we bring our first hour guest on, Ben?
No. I think you've covered a lot.
Okay. We did mention also that you can listen to the show live at the Blog Talk Radio Network, at the IRN Radio Network, the TuneIn Radio Network. You can also get archives at Apple's iTunes on our archives page, also on Stitcher and SoundCloud. Also now carry the audio archives of the Computer America show, as well as the video portion. We have our own YouTube channel. Again, it's all at computeramerica.com. Okay, our guest is from My Digital Shield. And My Digital Shield is a complete security solution for the small business, in other words, your business. My Digital Shield is very simple to install and use, and it requires no upfront investment and no ongoing maintenance. With My Digital Shield, you can thwart cyber attacks and data leaks before they happen with one simple piece of equipment that taps the power of the same security systems used by big business, but at an affordable price. And you're here how to explain how it all works in detail is Andrew Bagrin. Andrew is the CEO of My Digital Shield. Andrew, welcome back into Computer America. How you been?
Wonderful. Thank you, Craig. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, it feels like a year since we spoke. Oh, wait, it was a year.
This is the month. This is our busy month right here, raising awareness.
Exactly. And again, thank you for being with us here on today's show. Last time you were here with us, yes, you were here with the nighttime. We're now on our new daytime, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern time schedule. So why don't you give our listeners a little refresher again on what My Digital Shield is all about, what offerings you have, and what void the solution is filling within the marketplace, what you're doing to do that.
Sure, absolutely. So I could just kind of start with a little bit of history. Cybersecurity over the last 15 years, it's really grown up. The threats got a lot worse. I always like to say the hackers, they went from being hunters and gatherers to industrialized. They completely skipped the farming stage. Now they're extremely sophisticated, they're working together, and there is over 1 million new malware samples that come out every single day. So what happens to the cybersecurity professionals, right? That leaves us in a very difficult spot. And if you look at the defenses over the last 15 years, we started with firewalls. And we thought we had it figured out, right? You get a firewall, you keep the bad guys out. But they found ways around it. And then soon we built other defenses to protect ourselves from those attacks. And then they found another way around, and we built other defenses, and we built other defenses. And now when you step back and look what it takes to protect yourself on the internet, it's extremely complex and very times extremely expensive. So this is the problem that we see, and this led into another problem, which I call the cybersecurity trichotomy. And the trichotomy, it's got 3 points. One being security, another being performance, another being cost. So if you think about a large enterprise, usually they're okay suffering on the cost because they need the performance and they need to protect themselves properly because they understand what it means if they don't. Right? They understand the risk. They understand what could happen if they get breached, and a lot of them have experienced it, and they learn lessons from other companies. Now, when you're talking about small businesses, they usually don't have the luxury of spending tons of money on cybersecurity, so they suffer on one of the other 2 points, which is either the security or the performance. And now, performance is one of those things that you feel right off the bat. You know, as soon as your computer's slow, something's slow, you're like, fix it. And then what ends up happening is they end up with products or something that performs well, costs low, but the security level is extremely low. And that's why you hear all of these weird statistics like there's a breach every single minute. You know, everybody you talk to, almost every company has experienced some kind of a breach. It could be something small like they got malware and their computer is slow, or maybe somebody broke into their email. It could be something like CryptoLocker where, hey, they had to call in somebody and they weren't doing any business for a couple days to get everything cleaned up, or it could be something a lot bigger like credit card theft where they had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars because of them there was lots of credit card numbers that were stolen. So it could be anything in that category, but at the end of the day it always costs them something. Now where My Digital Shield is different is instead of taking all of this complexity and putting it on a box at your location, we build out a cloud that has all of that complexity, that has all the greatest and latest, always up-to-date security technology to protect you from those type of threats out there. And what we do is we take your internet connection and we connect it through our cloud, so you get a clean internet connection that's secured by our cloud. And that's really what makes the difference is by doing that, we can lower the cost, we can keep the performance at high performance because you don't have some kind of a box at your location that's constantly slowing you down, that's being updated every day to protect you against the million new malware that comes out every day. And the security is kept all the way up, turn up all the way because we're doing that all up in our cloud. We have the resources, we have the processing resources to do it up there.
Okay. All right. So obviously a very complete setup, in other words, environment that allows people to be safe. So let me ask you that you're doing all this wonderful work. What is unique about My Digital Shield that sets you apart from other security products out there? Because heaven knows there are quite a number of them out there.
Right. Yes. So there are some products that you install on a laptop or a computer, and those are there's certain negative points to doing that. There's certain positive points to doing that. And then I'd say more of our competitors are the ones that have some kind of a gateway, right? Some kind of unified threat management gateway. And those are really the ones that we looked and say, how are we different than them? And the way that we are different than them is we're very similar to the ones that are the very high-end ones that are extremely expensive, except we're at a monthly service. So most of them you have to spend a lot of money up front, you have to buy something, and you own this piece of equipment that's extremely complex. So this is where we're very, very different is if we do send a box to you on-prem, that box is very dumb. All it knows how to do is phone home, connect to our cloud, and send everything to our cloud, right? And that's where the difference comes in is, number one, we're a monthly subscription, and it's a low monthly subscription. And number two is we don't do any inspection at your location there on the box, so there's nothing slowing you down. All the inspection is being done up in our cloud. That's really the biggest difference. So a lot of our competitors, pretty much all of our competitors, they do all the inspection on a box. And here's what ends up happening is you could spec out a box that runs at 50 meg for your 50 meg internet connection. Well, in 6 months, now you want the 80 meg internet connection, but every day a million new malware samples, well, there's signatures being sent and more defenses being sent to protect yourself to the same box, but now this box is running at 40 meg because now it's got all this extra stuff it's got to inspect for. Well, 80 meg and 40 meg, that's a big difference. And just 6 months ago, you just bought this thing brand new, right? So it's a real problem out there with how fast security needs to keep up, how fast it needs to grow.
So you're saying the security is normally done in the box, and what makes you different is the security is not being done in the box; it's being done at your end.
Exactly, exactly.
So whatever box you send me, it's going to be.
It's a little counterintuitive because it seems like you're making your box simpler, less guts to the whole thing, which from a technology standpoint means it's more basic, much more simple. But I guess from a future-proof, the more you can do on your side rather than in hardware is you're future-proofing yourself. You're making sure that a year from now, 2-3 years now, you don't really have to worry about the hardware getting outdated, and you don't have to worry about the software not being updated.
Right, exactly. That's exactly it. I mean, there's a lot of comparisons that I like to draw. It's kind of like, if you take a bunch of capex and you like a lot of money and you build out your basement for a gym, well, you can spend a lot of money trying to buy the latest and greatest equipment. Well, in a few years, it'll be updated. But if you apply that same money to a gym membership, they always upgrade their equipment constantly, right? Because they have the amount of volume to be able to do that. And we're similar, low monthly fee, and you have access to the latest and greatest, always up to date, always taken care of, always managed and monitored, and all that kind of good stuff for you. You never have to worry about it.
So the box that you're sending really is just a simple. It's only limited by the amount of bandwidth that your internet service provider is providing you.
Exactly. Yeah. We call it a cloud link because all it does is it links you to our cloud platform.
And that's all it does. It's probably a very simple device. Then that's all it does. All the heavy-duty lifting is done at your end. Now, do I perceive any kind of lag, when I'm using your service, or is it pretty much transparent to me?
It's extremely transparent. We only had one time where there was legitimate lag, and we had somebody in Hawaii that was selling our services, and the closest data center was in LA. So they were connecting, across the ocean. And when somebody's tried to do a Hangouts or a Skype call within the island, they noticed a big difference when they were connecting through our service or when they weren't. So, but otherwise, nobody ever notices any lag. But that's almost going halfway across the world in order to do a Skype call.
Right. And that certainly makes a lot of sense. I mean, lag is the great detractor from, it seems, so many things that we do, whether it's Ben playing a game, or security, or antivirus.
People lose their minds. I mean, just 15, 20 years ago, it would take 3 minutes to load a picture. Nowadays, if it takes 10 seconds, people are start getting fidgety and they start calling people.
Right. The times that we live in now, Andrew, obviously we want it instantly, we want it all, we want it right away, and I think that's just a sign of the time, and that's only going to increase as bandwidth continues to grow, and and we get into the gigabit, up and down technologies that are surfacing and even faster. We're hoping that lag will be a thing of, oh, I remember in the olden days when they had lag and it was both ways, and now it's
Did you change your voice? That sounded so natural.
I was trying. Yeah, exactly. So, right, we want things to be instantaneous, and rightly so, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And security is one of those. It's one of those weird things that usually, if people notice it, and they have this reaction, right? It's like if they notice it slows you down, and they feel like it's doing something, right? It's protecting you. But for us, it's like it's completely transparent. You don't really notice it. So it's kind of, we're invisible in the background. The only time people know that we're there is when they get a report saying, hey, we block X amount of threats, or if they click on a phishing link or some kind of link, or somewhere they go to a website has a host malware or something, and they get blocked, and they see our block page saying, hey, we stopped you from going to this malicious website or this phishing site here, and that's the only time that they know we exist. Otherwise, we're completely transparent and invisible. So it makes it a little bit difficult, to show the value whenever you're transparent. And that's really your job to be.
And when you're transparent, I guess there's always the doubt, saying, well, is my digital shield actually up and running? I mean, I don't even know it's there. How can you confirm that you're actually up and running? Is there a website you can go to say, oh, yeah, you're protected? I mean, there's a little icon appears in the upper screen. How do you know that my digital shield is doing its job?
Yeah, there's a management portal that will confirm that, but the easy way to do that, I see Ben has our website up on this page there. There's actually a test there, but there's a better test. It's called shieldtest.com, and it's a simple test that we built and what it does is it simulates attacks, simulates malware download, simulates credit card theft, and it basically, typically, unless you have a really good enterprise solution, you're gonna fail some tests there. We ran into places where you go in and somebody spent several $100,000 a year on security. They got staff, they got good products, and they pass all the tests, which is great. But in a lot of cases, the small businesses, they fail most of the tests. So with this, my digital shield is obviously tuned very well in our cloud, and it blocks all that type of stuff. So his page here. Okay, so the first two you pass, so that's just a port scan. You pass that, and then the DDoS defense basically tries to do a mini attack, right? And that mini attack, it's just enough to trigger a defense. So if it triggers a defense and it recognizes something starts blocking this attack, then you pass the test. In your case, it might be that you don't have any open ports and you don't have ping open. So one of the attacks is a SYN flood, and the other one is a ping flood. So it looks like you passed that one. The next one is the virus test. So there's two of them there. One is it takes a sample virus and it tries to transfer it across, and it looks like it made it all the way across, so nothing blocked it. And then it takes a zip file that's infected and does the same thing, and it looks like you failed that one as well. Then the client-side attack, it's an attack against Flash. It's a vulnerability in Internet Explorer 8 that uses Flash. And then the server-side attack is a SQL injection. So it looks like all of those you failed. Those are really checking for an IPS, the client-side and the server-side attack. And the credit card theft test, it's looking for a DLP, a data leak prevention, which is looks for credit card numbers, social security numbers, that type of stuff from escaping. So normally if you have a DLP deployed, it would recognize credit card numbers, it would block those. So in this case, there's no DLP in place, so it failed the test. And then it just does a bandwidth test just to check what your bandwidth is.
So should Ben be worried now? I mean,
I just told our entire listening audience how to hack me.
Okay.
Yes, and you know what? It's very common. I'll tell you this. Amongst smaller businesses, it's very rare that we see somebody that would pass it, all of them. I don't think we've ever seen that, or maybe some of our partners have. I've actually had partners tell me, oh, I passed all of them except for this one. What does it do? And maybe it was the DLP one. They didn't have a DLP deployed. But that means that they spent quite a bit of money on their cybersecurity, and it was very well tuned. Right? So, and there are some IT providers that do a very good job at that. What we try to do is we try to take all that hard work off of them so they can focus on running their business, and we do it all in our cloud.
Okay. So obviously, this is a way to validate that My Digital Shield is up and running and work, because I would think that if you have the My Digital Shield in place, he would pass every test.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. It will definitely pass all the tests. And actually, this is a good tool just to get a litmus test of your cybersecurity. It is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, so if you just go to that page and just run the test, you'll at least get a good idea of where you stand, right? And then at least you'll know, okay, so how am I compared to everybody else, or should I be concerned? Should I be worried? Ben, if you're accepting credit card numbers, if you have any proprietary information, or if you're worried about getting crypto locker, yeah, you probably should be concerned. Yeah. In a lot of cases, people at home, it's becoming more and more concerned as we get these Internet of Things out there, and people are starting to hack the homes. But small businesses, it's a huge concern. It's an overwhelming concern, and the biggest part of it is that the small business owners, they don't really feel it, or they don't understand how big of a concern it is, and they don't want to they don't want to step up their game. But it's becoming more and more of a concern because one is it impacts their business quite a bit. Whether it's something like Crypto Locker that puts them out of business for a little bit, affects their customer service, affects what they do and everything, employee time and everything, or it could be something as big as stealing patient records or credit card information or something else like that, which is a huge fine. It'll drastically impact their business.
Now, when you have MDS set up and you have it operating, are hackers going to know that, oh my goodness, he's using something that's preventing me from putting all these out? I mean, and am I going to get some sort of alert from you immediately saying, somebody was trying to access your system using one of these that you mentioned, the Crypto Locker or what have you? Am I going to get some sort of notification from you saying, oh, it's someone attempted it, but of course we thwarted it? What happens? How does that work?
So we only alarm on very specific things, and those are the times when you actually need to take action. The reason being is, like last week, we blocked over 500,000 clicks at our malicious website, and we don't want to send out so many messages, right? Sometimes there's a lot of clickers out there because there's not really any action that needs to be taken.
Uh-huh.
But if there's a new computer on your network, like somebody brings in a laptop, puts it on the network, plugs it in, and it's got Crypto Locker on it, or it's got some kind of a malware, and we're seeing it communicate out to its command and control system, we'll start blocking it, and we'll send an alarm right away saying, hey, Bob's laptop, it's got Crypto Locker on it. You guys need to clean it up, and this is the way you do it. So we'll send instructions. We'll send an alarm right away.
So not only do you tell people that that's happening, you also tell them what they need to do to get rid of it.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. And is it something that's relatively straightforward? Is it easy, or do you? How difficult is it to deal with these problems?
It depends on your sophistication level. So, you could probably figure it out pretty easily. If I asked my grandmother to do it, she might have a little trouble.
So, do you have something that you can help people like your grandmother, or is it do you offer something like that? Hey, you need to get it up, but I don't know how to do it. Can you help me?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a lot of partners across the nation, and we connect them with our users all the time. In fact, usually we send alarms to the partner. If we have small businesses that come to us, usually we try to pair them up with one of our certified partners, so that they can go in there, they can take care of them, and they can manage the whole thing for them. It doesn't cost them any different than it would cost them to come to us, and we do that on purpose because we want somebody who's IT savvy that's going to be supporting the small business. Somebody that knows what they're doing, and then whenever that person receives an alarm, that company receives an alarm, they know exactly what to do. And they can go to a small business owner and saying, hey, there's a new laptop on the network, we need to clean it up.
Okay. So obviously, as we mentioned the introduction, October is National Cyber Security Awareness Month. Okay, and what are you doing to encourage businesses to safeguard their data and stay armed against all those cyber thieves out there?
Well, we're doing this radio show, so that's all we need to do. And thanks again for having us on the show. Obviously, we always want to get the word out there and tell small businesses what a big deal it is and how much they need to step up the game when it comes to cybersecurity. There's a couple things that, as you can see on Ben's screen there, we are doing a slew of events. The last week of October, we're doing 3 lunch and learns. And this is really to educate the IT providers out there. We're going to be at a couple events. We're also doing some promotions. We're running some promotions, one for the IT providers, and we're also doing some additional awareness for small businesses out there. So we got kind of like a whole bunch of these little things that we're getting out there just to kind of raise awareness. We're trying to leverage Shield Test as much as we can. We're actually working with a few different organizations to take Shield Test and spin it off to make it its own test. The one thing that I don't like is that we made Shield Test and we're a security provider. There's this obvious, oh yeah, of course you build it to make yourself look good type of feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And it's natural. I get that. Reality is we actually hired another company to build it for us. We just told them, hey, build us a test that will test these things, and they build it for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it actually helped us tune the way that we do things, because now we're seeing real stuff fly through across our system. But what we want to do is really give it to another organization that is completely neutral, completely central, disconnected from us, and let them just own it.
Now, do you call yourselves agents of Shield? I'm just kind of I'm just gonna, a little bet. All right,
those are our partners. We're just governing an organization.
All right, listen, Andrew, we're going to take a little break with the bottom of the hour, and we're going to continue on. You're listening to the Computer America Show. Ben and I are talking to Andrew Bagran, who is the CEO of My Digital Shield, and we're going to be back with him talking about this really cool technology that's instantly accessible to you. We're going to pause for the new News Test Bulletin Review. We'll be right back.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
These days, the only things doing any drilling or screwing are in my tool chest. Oh, hi, it's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America, this time the Ryobi OnePlus right-angle drill. We can't tell you how many times we needed to drill a hole or work a fastener where no drill or driver could reach because there just wasn't enough room for it. We asked Ryobi to send their 18-volt OnePlus right-angle drill, and it solves everything. The head has an LED for seeing your work. The base has a magnet for holding screws and a clip for holding hex bits. With a massive battery at the base, it's an overall heavy rig but well balanced for a near-bottom grasp point, which is where they place the variable speed trigger and the reversing switch. Bottom line, the Ryobi OnePlus 18-volt right-angle drill fits a lot of beef into tight spaces. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
get a little risque with those openings. I swear, I swear. So, welcome back to the Computer America Show. 33 minutes past the hour here in the first hour, and we have Andrew Bagron here, who is the CEO of My Digital Shield, talking about everything that they do and this test that you can go online and take yourself, and just how they're trying to be out there, raise awareness, tell small businesses that they need to protect themselves and their data, because I'm not sure if you have any of these statistics on hand. There we go. But there's an alarming number of companies out there that they said that if they get hacked, or if they were hacked, or if they had to lose some portion of their capital just from trying to recover from a hacking, and any kind of loss of information, they really wouldn't be able to. I mean, small businesses are really, really susceptible to losing data, and really just being on the brink of going out of business if they were compromised in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very alarming, and that's one of the big reasons why My Digital Shield exists, is because we just saw that as a huge gap. We saw that cybersecurity is growing so quickly and so big that nobody's really out there filling that gap or doing something for them. Yet it impacts them the most, and that's kind of what's alarming. Speaking of Shield Test, I was actually during our break, I was Skyping with the company that we hired to build it for us, called Crush FTP. They do something completely differently. They do like a file management, but we are coming out with a Shield Test Pro, which this one had, I think, had about 6 or 7 tests. Shield Test Pro is going to have around 30 tests that it's going to do for. That's going to test, and I think we're just going to release it just to the IT providers and help them to go and test out the SMBs. We haven't quite decided yet, but I'm not officially making an announcement, but it should be released in the next couple of weeks. We're just going through the final testing of it.
So it's going to have all these tests, and then it's going to have pregnancy tests and something. 30 different tests. That's pretty crazy. That there could be 30 different things that you could be at risk to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you notice, we don't have anything like can you get to a phishing link, right? We don't have anything like simulating an advanced persistent threat or a botnet activity. We don't have anything like trying to get to a malicious website, or we have a virus, and then we have a zip file virus. We don't have anything like a password-protected zip file that's infected. We don't have a polymorphic virus, mobile malware. So these are some of the other tests that we're going to have that's going to be included in this new Shield Test Pro.
But how do you know, Andrew, as a user, if there is I mean, when you think of security, you always want the best. You don't want to get partial security, because then you get partial protection. So how do you know which one of these to get? You don't offer it yet, but if you do offer it, and you say, well, I obviously have the Pro version, because if I don't have the Pro version, then they can get to me in other ways. I mean, how do you know which one to subscribe to, I guess?
Well, the Shield Test Pro, it's a more elaborate test. As far as a product to protect you, like my philosophy is this: why would you get a lesser version of security?
Yeah.
The way that we're structured is, even with our lowest end product, you still get all of the security. We have 4 different offerings, and all of them offer you the same amount of security. The things that the higher end products offer you is more features on networking, things like your own static IP address in our cloud for port forwarding, that type of stuff. But as far as security goes, you get all of the security, regardless if you're paying the lowest amount or the highest amount.
But see, that's the answer I wanted to hear, because well, because if you say you're doing a certain amount of security and you're paying for more, and you say, well, you need to buy even more security. No, that doesn't really work. So again, that's great. So in other words, you get the same amount of security no matter which product you get. It's just that you can run further diagnostics, maybe, to find out where the security breaches or just different services.
Well, with our so 2 different things, right? The Shield Test is it's a test tool. So it's kind of like running a simple test. Like the Shield Test itself, it's a pretty simple test tool. There's 5 tests, but it'll at least it'll give you a good basic understanding. If you're protected with everything, that's good, and that means that you have a good basis of protection. Now the Shield Test Pro will test a much more elaborate test. It'll give you the details of what it passed, what failed, exactly what it was trying to test. So, maybe you do have an IPS and it did block those basic things, and maybe you do have a DLP, it blocked that simple thing, and your virus blocked this. But just because your antivirus blocks an infected zip file and a regular virus doesn't mean it blocks polymorphic viruses. Doesn't mean it blocks mobile malware, right? This gets a little bit more sophisticated, and that's why we needed a little bit more of an elaborate tool. We wanted to get some tool out there right away, but then we want to build a more elaborate tool to test all of these things. It gives you a more thorough valuation of the product that you have.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense. So I guess the next question is, what are some of the major cyber risks that businesses take if they decide not to do this?
Well, they take all of them, but they stem all the way from, hey, computers running slower, to something like a crypto wall or crypto locker, where it's going to affect you for a couple days. You might lose all of your data, maybe you won't, right? But if you lose all of your data, how does that impact you? And the answer is different for every business. Some of them, it's like, it's not a big deal because, whatever, maybe we cut the lawn for a living, right? And other ones are, hey, it's a huge deal. We got so much information, and because we're a law firm, right? So it impacts them differently. It could be all the way up to if you're a retail store, a restaurant, anybody who takes credit card numbers, or if you're in healthcare and you have patient record, well, that could be completely damaging to your business. Because if you're, the average cost for small businesses is over $200 per stolen credit card. So if you have malware on your system that's collecting credit card information, as you swipe, you don't have to store the information there, but as you swipe, it's collecting it and sending it off somewhere. Most people find out only after 3 or 4 months that something like that exists. So if you have that going on in 3 or 4 months, how many credit cards do you swipe?
Yeah.
10,000 times 200 is a lot of money.
No, we've heard about this time and time again from Target and all these different store things that were losing information. It took them months to. But if they had something like My Digital Shield, they would know immediately.
Right. If it does get infected somehow, we will start blocking that communication when they're trying to upload the credit card numbers, and we'll send an alarm saying, hey, this is infected with this point of sale system malware. This is what you need to do to fix it.
Yeah, it can be. Now, as new malware is developed, because we're seeing this at an alarming rate. I mean, we hear about some of the big ones like CryptoLocker, but there's so many. What was it? We've had cybersecurity people on saying that how many was 1 million new viruses every day or two, or some incredible number.
Yep.
How do you stay on top of all of that? You have guys in the basement somewhere,
Well, the answer to that is we can't have that many people, right? You have excellent companies, such as Fortinet or Symantec, and they have hundreds of researchers in the basement, right? Fortinet has over 400 of these guys worldwide, and all they do is they have over 100 systems, and they run these things, and it analyzes everything. They scan terabytes of malware samples. They build signatures, and they're really good at that. They build a machine that works really well to keep up with all the threats out there. So we don't do that ourselves. What we do is we license their technology, we license their intelligence, and that's how we build out our cloud platform, is through those already really, really good. They know how it works. They've built it already. We just leverage their intelligence to be able to do that.
Is it a losing battle, though? I mean, we've spoken to some people that are saying, that 1 million new viruses a day, and I mean, is it becoming impossible to keep up with all of this stuff? I mean,
you know what? We just have to get better at it. They're getting better at the attacks, and we just have to get better at the defenses. And I don't necessarily think it's a losing battle, but it's a tough battle, and it's getting tougher and tougher. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it gets kind of scary out there. So. Okay. So basically,
well, really, you don't want the defense side of this whole fight to say, this is getting really hard. I go make hot dogs, and we can go do something at Fenway. Like, you don't want one side saying, well, the other side won. Security is no longer a question, and we're all doomed.
Yeah, I quit. We're out.
Don't want that happening.
No, you don't. You want them to stay on top of it, and I think that they're getting better and better. There's a lot of great new security companies coming up, and each of them are focused on something very specific that they see as a major pain point. But the problem is it's getting more and more complex, and I think that's why platforms such as My Digital Shield become more and more important, to take all those cool technologies, bring them in, simplify it, and deliver it in a very easy, simple to use, completely transparent to the users. That's and that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to take all this complexity, simplify it down to where you really don't have to do much at all.
All right. Would you agree, or would you say, as bandwidth increases, as speeds increase, that we see coming into business and homes, that the threat increases because things are happening faster and faster?
That is the case, but I'd say not so much as the bandwidth as what's called the Internet of Things. And that's every device out there starting to be connected to the internet. So if you think about like just recent years, you had a computer that's connected to the internet. Now think about your home. I have I have Nest that's connected. I have my printers, all of my devices. There's tablets, iPads, everything. My daughter's got toys that have IP addresses. You walk into some of these smart homes and their toilet has an IP address. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? It's like everything. It's amazing what you could control remotely nowadays. We talked about the car thing, right? It's there was already this last year. There was a couple of events. Chrysler did a recall because somebody demonstrated that they can hack into the car and control the car through the computer. And you think about the stuff that's happening out there. I think that it's just the beginning of this Internet of Things, including vehicles, including home type stuff, including everything else. It's just the beginning of a new world of where hackers can go and attack on a whole nother level.
Wow.
It's a little scary, I know, it is scary, but we got to take a deep breath and hope that the good guys are doing something about it.
All right. Well, so obviously you foresee cybersecurity continuing to be a growing concern.
Absolutely, yeah. It's what, I wish it would just go away. Like Ben said, I wish the bad guys would just say, we give up. Let's just all be good. But I just do not see that happening because they I think since 2009, the cyber criminals have made more money than the drug criminals.
Really?
Yeah. So you think about, why would they give up something like that? And you know what? Nobody dies. In the drug world, people die all the time, and they're not giving up. Why would the cyber criminals give up? It's
Right.
way too profitable.
But I think cybersecurity has a nice little thing for it where correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like if people just take moderate steps, if they just take some kind of action to make sure that they aren't so easily hackable, that they aren't the easiest possible target, then hackers, like, unless you called someone's mother a bad name, like, they really don't care where they get their information, where they get their credit cards from. They just want any possible working number. So if you put up any kind of wall, they're going to skip over you. They're going to look for the easier target.
Right, absolutely, and that's it's kind of like you just, if there's a bear in the woods, you got to make sure you outrun the guy next to you. It's kind of that mentality, and it's true, right? Like if you take the simple 3 or 5 steps, and like the password rule, right? Just make sure you keep good password, you don't reuse them, that type of stuff. That's a big one. You follow that one, and it'll take you a long way, right? You put some basic framework around the way you do things, it's going to take you a long way. It really will take you a long way. And the problem with hackers is that they used to be very targeted, right? It's like, let's go after this big corporation, let's go after that big corporation. And these big corporations just started to really ramp up their defenses. So now it's more of a, let's go after anybody who has a Windows laptop, and they just like send it out everywhere, and then just hopefully something sticks. They'll get back 1%, but 1% is a lot. Right, when you're talking about billions, 1% is a lot of infected systems. Right. And the I guess one of the worst things is we actually had this experience is sometimes computers come pre-infected from the factory.
Oh, yeah.
Not necessarily like a laptop, but think about a system, right? Like this Internet of Things. We had a situation where something came from a factory, and it was like we were blocking malware, and it was alarming, right? And they said that's impossible. This thing just came straight from the factory. Said, well, it came infected, right? And obviously that raised huge concerns and everything. But sometimes I feel like, where is everything getting manufactured? Somewhere overseas? Well, who knows if these guys are planting some kind of a chip in there that's automatically, as you get a brand new computer, it's automatically doing something and collecting information and sending it off somewhere.
Well,
We never know that. So that's why I think having a good defense, it always makes a lot of sense.
Well, wasn't there there were a couple of scandals or situations where computer manufacturers, I think Dell, if I'm recalling, was a number of years ago, where the computer left and it had already been infected. I don't think it was Dell, but it was another
Lenovo just got in trouble.
was.
Yeah.
Lenovo had that one where they were doing advertising, where
Right.
they pre-installed, yeah.
and it was already infected.
Yeah, and you think after like the sixth time they got caught, people would start making a fuss, but it's like, that's just the way new computers are.
It's almost becoming
Which is
normal, right?
Right.
Well, luckily they only caught the advertising portion. They didn't catch the portion that scrapes your contact information and your credit card numbers and sends that off somewhere.
Okay, so that part stayed hidden. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, well, I mean, so I'll give you an example. One of the versions of CryptoLocker, when people pay the ransom, it doesn't just go away. Like, you got to be naive to think, oh, I paid the bad guy off, and he's going to completely remove all the bad stuff from my computer. Like, who are you kidding, right? So what they found is it just sits there for around 6 months and starts collecting. So it goes and connects again and downloads something new, right? And that new thing, oftentimes what it does is it starts collecting information about who you are, right? And if you're a C-level person in a company, it'll start sending out, to all your contacts, hey, you need to wire $100,000 to this company right away. Here's the wiring information. This is an emergency, right? And people got fired because a lot of accounting people got fired because they wired tons of company money to some foreign account because it came from the CEO of this company.
Ooh.
And actually, a friend of mine, she's a CFO, and she was standing right beside her controller when the controller got an email saying, hey, we need you to wire $150,000 to this company over here. Here's the wire instructions. And she turned around, looked at her, and said, did you send this? It's like, what do you think? And it's a compelling email, and people get caught on it all the time. And that's why it's such a big, it'll never go away because it's so profitable.
Well, not only that, they're becoming more and more sophisticated.
Convincing.
Yeah, convincing. I mean, it used to be, badly spelled language but
Google Translator's getting better, so they're getting better.
they're getting better. I mean, I get things from PayPal and banks and everything that I don't even bank at, and they're starting to look really convincing. And again, you have to know that these organizations will never ever ask you for your password. They'll never do these types of things, which leads you to believe well, if there ever is a legitimate concern for these kinds, how do they contact you? How do you know?
Right.
What does that look like?
Right. Yeah, and there's some small things to keep in mind, right? One of them is never click in emails. Right? If you get a PayPal email or something and say go to your website to do this, go actually and type in PayPal.com. Yeah. Right? Don't ever click the link inside there. Number two is your passwords. So if you do reuse passwords, which you really shouldn't, there's some really, really easy techniques you can do not to reuse passwords. But oftentimes people think, oh, Joe's website got hacked, right? Big deal. There's nothing important on there. Not a big deal. But if your password on Joe's website, your username and password, like mine is abagran often, abagran. If my password is I love dogs, well, and if that's the same password on Bank of America and PayPal and every other place I use, guess what? They're going to try to go there and use abagran with the same password on every known website, right?
Yep.
And they're going to probably get in because I'm using the same user ID and password.
Wait, let me write this down.
There was the whole thing with iTunes and all the celebrities being hacked. That's essentially how they got hacked. Was people do use the same. It's every single website wants you to have a password because they want you to be secure. But at the same time, when you have 17, 18, 20 different passwords, it's just human nature. You're going to go the path of least resistance, and you're going to start reusing things. So it's what keeps you safe is turning out to be quite the vulnerability.
Right, because it's a false sense of security. You feel safe, but really, that's what's yeah, exactly. Yeah, you said it right, Ben. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, I mean, I'd suggest this. Just use some kind of a scheme. I suggest very often, right? If you have some kind of a simple password, um, like even like ABC123 exclamation mark. Don't use that one, but just, if it's something like that, just put in. If it's PayPal, put capital P, capital A, capital Y in front of it. If it's Bank of America, put capital B, capital A, capital N. Right? Just use some kind of a scheme like that you'll know what it is, right? So when you go to the website, you know what those first 3 characters or 2 characters or 5 characters should be, but it's going to be different. It's simple to you, but it's at least that the password hash is going to be completely different from one website to another. And then that way they can't just use it.
I still like I love dogs here, right? Okay.
I love computers.
Exactly. So let's go over it again. Exactly what My Digital Shield offers. Basically,
well, you go to the website there, and you actually have 2 buttons here. One where I'm an IT provider, so I guess if you work IT for a company, you can find a really easy link to set it up and get all the services you can. But then you have another button here where I assume if you are in IT, you aren't very proficient in IT, you click Help Secure My Business, and it'll have a little bit more walkthrough kind of feel.
Yeah, and those are really both forms to fill out, so somebody can walk you through that stuff. And really, what we're gonna do is we're a technology company. So if you say help secure my business, we're gonna do one of 2 things. Number one is we're gonna connect you with one of our certified partners that they can help secure your business using our product. Or number 2, if you have an IT person, we'll help train them, we'll help educate them. To make sure that they can leverage My Digital Shield to secure business at a very low cost. If you're an IT provider, what we'll do is we'll get you set up to using our platform to be able to use it to manage your customers using our platform to provide them that high-end cybersecurity. So those are really the 2 things. But we don't want to be a direct sales model at all to small businesses. We really want to, and because if we do that, as soon as we do that, we got to start raising the price, and we don't want to do that. We want to keep it simple, be a technology.
And tell us a little bit about what the cost of this is.
Sure. So we have list prices. There is 4 packages. They start out at $49 a month. There's no startup fee. There's no long-term contract. Nothing like that. It's $49 a month, and it goes up to $119 per month. And
that depends which version.
Yep, exactly. There's 4 different packages. The smallest one provides all of the security. The biggest limitation is you're limited to it's protecting 10 devices. But that's the only one that's limited to that number of devices that it's protecting. And we came up with that after the fact because we ran into a lot of businesses that have 3 people or 2 people in it that wanted some cybersecurity.
Right.
Our standard product, it doesn't have a limit of users. It provides you all of the security, but not any networking features. Then we have a more advanced one, which if you have a server on site, if you need port forwarding like a mail server or something like that, it provides you your own static IP address. It provides you that type of capability, site-to-site VPN, remote access, those type of things. And our highest end one is if you have multiple VLANs, so you have multiple networks within your infrastructure, and it provides you that capability.
But again, to stress, the security is the same for all.
Yeah, absolutely. We do not ever turn off any security at all for any of our products. It's always, unless you specifically go in there and push the big red button, turn off my security. All of the features are on. All of the security features are always on all the time.
Right, exactly. And again, they can go to your website, which is www.mydigitalshield.com, and you can check it out for yourself. And also go to computeramerica.com. We have the link right to My Digital Shield on our homepage at computeramerica.com, and you can check it out for yourself. Anything else you want to let our listeners know before we say good afternoon?
The one thing that I would stress is at least know where you stand. Go to shieldtest.com. Just run it. See where you stand. If you need some help with the explanation of that, we'd be happy to walk you through it and explain exactly what it tests and what it means to you for your business. We're just trying to raise awareness this month. At least try to raise awareness. Let everybody know, hey, it's important. It's important to your business. I'm sure everybody has a feeling that, hey, I should be doing something. I'm not sure what it is, or I'm not sure if I should be doing something. Run the test. It'll give you just a good litmus test or a good idea of where you stand. If you pass everything, great, awesome. If you maybe fail one, we'll help you understand if that's important to your business specifically. If you fail, all of them, probably need to do something about it. Regardless if you use My Digital Shield or not, but you probably need to do something about it.
Okay. Well, Andrew, again, I want to thank you for being here on the show and telling our listeners about My Digital Shield. And certainly it's all available. Again, at computeramerica.com, we have links to it, or just go to the mydigitalshield.com website. And I guess maybe we'll see you next year. Maybe sooner. If you have something newer, you can come back and certainly tell us about some of the improvements that you're doing over there. Andrew, thanks so much for being with us here on today's show.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Craig. Thank you for having me.
Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, and there he goes again. My Digital Shield, Andrew Bagran, talking about the all the different protections that they offer. All right, coming up in the next hour, we're going to be talking to NAIMA, the North American Insulation Manufacturers Association, and the technology and it's building. It's the time to build, and we're going to be having them here on the program. You listen to the Computer America Show. We're going to just break just for a few moments, and then we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at computeramerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
Oh, there you are. Okay. And again, I want to thank Andrew Bagran for being here on the first hour of the show. If you missed anything that we talked about in the first hour, we have the technology where you can actually listen to it again. We archive all of our program at computeramerica.com. Just go to the archive selection on any page at computeramerica.com. Really, it's on the little pull-down menu that we have there. And you can see all the places where you can listen to the show for the second time. It's up there, or the third time, or the fourth time, as you want to listen to it. We have links to, of course, Blog Talk Radio, which archives the show, Apple's iTunes. We take you right to the section where we archive all of our audio programming. In addition to the audio program, we also have SoundCloud and we have Stitcher, where you can listen to archives of the show. Another nice thing is that we archive the video portion of the program as well. You just go to the video archives. It'll take you to our special YouTube channel where we archive the video as well as the audio portion of the program. And you can, visit at your leisure. It's all there at computeramerica.com. Ben, what's the status with our second hour guests? Are they going to show, or are we going to
little bit of a confusing situation. We'll try to get them, but I think for now we're going to just do computer and technology news right now.
Okay, so again, we'll just start off with doing some computer news. So let's do it. Today's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. It's slimwareutilities.com. Check them all out. They're there. We highly recommend them. They do a heck of a job. You'll be happy that you did, and you'll thank us for it. SlimwareUtilities.com.
Right. So, so yeah, let's do computer. Sorry, a little flustered here, but yeah, we have a lot of very interesting stories, a lot of big deals going on, including one of the biggest tech deals in history has just been approved, or at least was made. It was between a company I actually had never really heard about, but I guess they do more corporate, big business side of things, and Dell just purchased them. But we'll talk about a little bit later. One thing I really do want to get into is, of course, Craig makes no bones about it. I like video games.
Yes.
And a lot of people do too. So I feel like I'm in good company with this. And with one of the largest games coming out in this holiday season, it's been much anticipated. People have been chewing over Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas and all that kind of stuff. And, they've been chewing over that for about 5-6 years. It's a really, really great open world game. But ever since Fallout 4 and the little release of the minigame, people have not stopped talking about it. And finally, we have the recommended specs and the minimum requirements needed to play this game, because Fallout 4 is going to be one of, if not the biggest game releases of this holiday season. It really is going to be a big deal. So I thought it'd be a fun thing to go over just what one would need to get into this. Now, for everyone out there, it's really made for next-gen consoles and for higher-end PCs. So don't expect anything too shabby. But it's also for the Xbox 360 and it's just for the Xbox One and Xbox 360. PlayStation support has not been announced. But yeah, so let's get on with the article. Pulling this from Kevin Parrish over at Max and PC. And back in June of 2015, Bethesda announced the next installment of Fallout. This is just months before the game would actually hit the store shelves, and the studio has hesitated in announcing the game earlier because, according to Bethesda, game director Todd Howard is a perfectionist and doesn't like to reveal his works of art before they're complete. That's very admirable. So now they're just a month until a game lands in our hands, and Fallout fans who want to play it on their PCs can use the short window time frame to upgrade their computers. So yeah, on Thursday they reviewed the system requirements, providing both minimum and recommended hardware. So they said that in an FAQ that it will support an Xbox One and Xbox 360 controller, pleasing those who detest the old school mouse and keyboard setup. And Fallout 4 will also support Steam achievements, and the FAQ also says there will be a Pip-Boy app for iOS, Android, and Windows Phone devices. Yep.
Okay.
So and as for release dates, by the way, the game will become available November 10th, 2015 at 12:01 a.m.
That's your
local time. So whatever time you're in, 12:01 a.m. And except Asia, which will be available at 12 a.m. on Wednesday, November 11th. So, and in Japan, available 12 a.m. on Thursday, December 17th. So, a month for Japan to get it, but hey, they'll get it the same. So, so the minimum requirements are, of course, a Windows 7, 8, or 10 computer, 64-bit OS. So, no 32-bit here, you need 64-bit. Intel Core i5 2300 2.8 gigs, or an AMD equivalent. So, an i5 running at 2.8 gigs, I think that was a pretty high-end processor about 5 years ago. So as long as, your processor is up to date in some way in the recent few years, I think you'll be okay processor-wise. 8 gigs of RAM, that's actually a lot of RAM for one program to use. So 8 gigs, no slouch there. 30 gigs of hard drive space and an NVIDIA GTX 550 Ti or Radeon equivalent, AMD Radeon equivalent. So yeah. And again, those were all minimum hardware requirements.
Right.
So if you have anything below that, you're gonna have a tough time playing this game.
Yeah, they give you recommended requirements, which are a little higher, which is nice.
They do, yeah. So the recommended, still 7, 8, 10, 64-bit OS, Intel Core i7 4790, 3.6 gigahertz. So that's actually a pretty decent processor. 8 gigs of RAM, 30 gigs hard drive space, and an NVIDIA GTX 780 with 3 gigs of memory, or an AMD Radeon R9 290X equivalent. So that's actually a mid-range, graphics card. So that's not a slouch either. So these are, again, minimum and recommended. These are not the hardware requirements to run this thing on full, 1080p, 4K, ultra high resolution, or ultra high settings. No, these are just recommended settings. So if you can go anything above that, you'll have a much better time playing this game. But again, Fallout 4, it's been a long time coming. It's a very, very popular franchise, and it's finally making its way to PCs.
Do you play this the Fallout franchise? Have you been playing it?
I have not, actually. Funny enough, I know that Chris, our booking goddess, is very much into it, and I am more of a Skyrim fan myself. Like they're very similar, except one is, of course, post-apocalyptic future kind of deal, and Skyrim is, of course, swords, magic, all that kind of stuff, medieval kind of feel. But they're two very open world, RPG style games. So I haven't played this, Fallout in particular, but I've played games just like it, and I know many people rave about Fallout. So
you find yourself playing these games more on your PC, or now that you have an Xbox One, you play it on the Xbox One? Just out of
see, again, this is all preference. This is what you kind of feel is best, because I personally like these kinds of games on the Xbox. It's just what I first had. Real-time strategy games and first-person shooters and things like that. Like, I prefer those on PC, although first-person shooter, I really do prefer the console. It's just kind of what I'm used to. So I actually prefer these kinds of games on the console. But I know a lot of people who, honestly prefer it on the PC. Right. It's just what you're used to. So.
Have you ever once in a while taken a game that you've been playing on the PC for a long time and you say, I wonder what this might be on the Xbox One, and then try it and then find it, I like it on the Xbox One? Has that ever happened, or you basically stay where you are?
I know me pretty well, and I think a lot of gamers out there know themselves pretty well, and it's the genre of game is very much dependent on, what just in the past, what have you preferred? Like, horror games and things like that, and just straight RPGs. Those I really do prefer those on the PC. Just better, better quality everything. But first-person shooters and things of that nature, ever since playing Halo on the original Xbox, I've just been hooked to first-person shooters on the console. But I know people who cringe at the idea of not having a mouse and keyboard to play first-person shooters.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, this next story. Now, one of the places you can listen to Computer America is on the TuneIn Radio Network, which carries also the IRN Radio Network. Evidently, this story by Engadget by Billy Steele says the TuneIn Radio Network is adding NFL broadcasts to its $8 premium radio subscription. Well, if you're into sports, this is certainly something that you should be made aware of. Now, according to the story, again, back in August, radio streaming app TuneIn announced its $8 per month premium streaming option that included music, audiobooks, and live sports. Well, today, TuneIn revealed that NFL games are now part of its on-field coverage. Wow, okay. Thanks to a multi-year deal with the league, TuneIn will offer live broadcasts for all 32 teams, including both home and away, play-by-play feeds. What's more, all national and Spanish radio broadcasts will be included as well. There's an NFL on the TuneIn station too, serving up football coverage around the clock with news and commentary from NFL Network shows and podcasts. Now, starting in November, next month, there will be a live look-in show streaming through the app that'll offer news, stats, and clips of in-progress games on Sundays from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you're willing to follow the action, the gridiron without the visuals, TuneIn is certainly a cheaper option than the NFL Game Pass, which offers a video replays in addition to live game day audio for $99 a year. NFL Streams joins MLB, that's Major League Baseball, Barclays Premier League, Bundle League, and more sports coverage than already available through the TuneIn subscription service. So just another nice feature that they're adding.
See, I don't like the way that's worded though. It's the way he has it worded, where TuneIn is certainly a cheaper option for the NFL Game Pass. See, I don't think so, because $8 a month for 12 months is $96.
Yes, it is.
So to say it's certainly cheaper, where at $99 a year compared to $96 a year, $3 difference.
Mhm.
I don't know. And with one giving you, the video as well. Although, of course, that comes bundled in with a cable subscription. So maybe that's what he means. But as for just the straight, $99 versus $96, but then I guess you roll that on top of a $100 cable bill. I can see where he's coming from. So, tune in. Hey, we're on TuneIn. We're on the free portion, thankfully.
Yeah.
But it's nice that NFL is definitely trying to get their brand out there, because they've been tied in with the cable companies for so long, and I think NFL sees it, and a lot of different, and HBO definitely saw it. We're seeing all the premium channels now coming out with their own standalone service, where you can subscribe to each service individually for $8 a month, $15 a month, whatever you have, without a cable subscription. A lot of these services are starting to see the writing on the wall, I think, and are trying to get their product out there directly to people, so that you don't have to go through a cable provider, because cable is hurting. They really are, and they're trying to make it up in different ways. So between the NFL, HBO, all these kind of things that originally you had to have a cable subscription for, and for them to just bring it to you directly is always a nice option for those who don't, who really want to cut the cord.
Yep. Okay. Again, this goes. The only caveat is that if you subscribe to too many of these things, then you start paying a lot of money each month. So,
well, of course, you would be paying more money if you subscribe to everything that you would get through cable, but most people don't do that. Most people get 2 or 3 services and then they call it a day.
Well, that's true.
Like not many people have a subscription to, HBO Now and Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and NFL Now through TuneIn. Like no one really has 10 different subscriptions. Most people have 2 to 3, and that's it.
Well, okay.
At least I've never heard of someone yet who has subscribed to more than 5.
Well,
so, if nothing else with that one.
But let's okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I was going to go. I had one picked, but I didn't realize that it's your turn. So go ahead.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, I really like this one. This was a Kickstarter campaign, and I was hoping it was going to come to market, and it looks like it just might. So this is called a Tempescope, and a Tempescope brings weather forecasts to life, literally. And if you're watching the video portion, you can see it right up there, where these 3, and they have it's essentially a square prism, and there's a glass chunk in the middle, and surrounded by 2 white chunks, and in the glass part is of course going to be the weather. That sounds weird. We're not talking like sunny, 86 degrees, 30% humidity. No,
you're actually
it's an actual simulation of what the weather would look like, where it has water vapor inside of it. It has a light there that would simulate the sun. It can even rain inside this little transparent box.
Mm-hmm.
So so it's easy enough to represent the weather using animation. But Ken Kawamoto's Tempescope can physically reproduce the weather conditions, rain, and fog. So here, for anyone out there watching the video, I'm going to play the video while we talk about it. because it really is very, very cool. So this tabletop device acts out the weather forecast for its local area, or you can use a mobile app to synchronize it to the prevailing weather condition in just about any location around the world. So the app also has a manual mode whereby you can instruct it to enact a weather phenomenon for your liking, just in case you want to show someone what it looks like when it's raining.
Yeah.
So, it sounds an amazing way to receive weather forecast, and the Indiegogo campaign to transform the Temposcope from concept to retail has got about 900 backers and about $220,000 to make this happen. So with 28 days left to go, it looks as though the campaign will certainly reach its $400,000 goal. And accidentally clicked it. But yeah, no, and if you're out there watching the video, it really does look like a very cool device. So it owes its existence to one man's post-vacation musing, and the inventor got the idea for the device in his return from a vacation to the Marianas in 2012. He thought how great it would be if he could just take the skies home with him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can pre-order the Temposcope on the form of ready-to-assemble kits from Indiegogo, and choose between the $200 and the $250 model that can be laser engraved with a custom message, and both are expected to ship in April of 2016. So,
very cute, very clever.
But yeah, no, it's just it's not very, very small. I mean, it's a pretty big tabletop display, but at the same time, it's definitely something very different.
Yeah, it is different. So you can actually see what the weather is outside, but without having to go outside. Temposcope. Okay. Very cool. All right. We move on to this next story here. Again, this is actually quite interesting for young people who have the misfortune to lose an arm, young amputees. Well, basically, they're getting ready to produce bionic hands, which will be like Iron Man or Star Wars, or even from the Disney Frozen movie.
Making the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, according by Nick Summers from Engadget, this is a heroic set of prosthetic hand designs will soon allow young amputees to transform into their favorite Disney characters, whether they prefer a red Iron Man gauntlet, one of Queen Elsa's sparkling blue gloves, or a hand inspired by Star Wars iconic lightsabers. They'll be able to take on the world with a prosthetic that finally marries form and function. Now, the three models have been created by Open Bionics, a startup working on inexpensive 3D printed hands for amputees. The company's founder says they'll cost around $500 and be available in 2016. Another non-Disney-fied design should be roughly about a little over $3,000, considerably more, but still a fraction of what many existing prosthetics devices cost. Open Bionics is part of the 2015 Disney Accelerator Program, which explains its choice of characters. Still, the House of Mouse has been gracious enough to provide royalty-free licenses, as well as time and input from its creative teams. The three versions are fitted with LED lights, and in the case of the Iron Man model, a vibration motor for when the user wants to fire a rocket. Okay. Open Bionics isn't the first company to develop a superhero-inspired prosthetic, though. Limitless Solutions, interesting play on words. They had the word limb and then the word limitless, and they call it Limitless Solutions, produces a similar version back in March. Robert Downey Jr. might be too busy to hand-deliver this new model, but regardless, we suspect more than a few amputees will be psyched into joining the Avengers ranks. Very cute idea.
Yeah. And yeah, they're obviously going to grow out of them, but I think while they have them, it's going to turn what I think a lot of kids might consider a kind of a blow to the to the subconscious. Like, they're going to be, oh, I don't have a hand, I'm not like a lot of other people. Well, instead of making a hand that makes you look like everyone else, why not have a hand that makes you stand out and makes you look cooler, instead of trying to hide what is essentially what you are.
Yeah.
Stand out a bit, have fun with it.
I think it's a very clever idea. I think a lot of kids will who find themselves in this.
Though I gotta say, the Marvel Avengers with Iron Man glove looks great. Star Wars glove looks great. The Frozen one, I gotta be honest with you. I'm all for it. Obviously that's going to appeal to girls a lot more than boys.
Sure.
But I just hope that glitter doesn't rub off. Glitter gets on everything.
Yeah.
And this thing looks like it's loaded with glitter. So hopefully the glitter is either sealed in some way. But
I'm surprised that the Iron Man doesn't have the little light in the palm. So it goes.
It might because right now we're looking at the back of the hand.
Oh, okay. So maybe he does have the light in the palm.
So maybe it does.
Yeah,
I would not be surprised actually, that it does. All right, so from hands and now to something completely different. This is about today's deal between Dell and EMC Squared. They just spent the most money for an acquisition in tech ever.
Really?
So for the slim price of $67 billion, EMC acquisition is the largest tech deal in history. Wow. So Dell has bought EMC Squared. So Michael Dell just made history by orchestrating a deal for Dell and private equity partner Silver Lake to buy EMC, a cloud and data storage outfit. Is the biggest deal of all time in the tech industry.
I'm sure EMC must be dancing in the streets.
Yeah, it's not it's not the smallest deal. It's actually a very, very large deal. But I guess it's part of Dell's new strategy. So it only took 2 years. It was only 2 years ago that Michael bought back the company he founded for $25 billion, also with the help of Silver Lake. He immediately took Dell private so that he could make swift business decisions without having to answer to a board, which might have otherwise wrestled with the idea of buying EMC for such a hefty sum. So under terms of the deal, EMC shareholders will receive $24 per share in cash, in addition to tracking stock linked to a portion of EMC's economic interest in VMware. So all tallied, EMC shareholders are looking at a combined consideration of about $33 per EMC share. Mm-hmm. That must be pretty good.
Yeah,
it must be a good day if you invested in EMC shares. So yeah, Dell will take EMC private once the deal is finalized, and VMware, of which EMC owns a controlling 81%, will remain a publicly traded company. So this obviously is a big move for Dell. It also underscores just how aggressively Dell is trying to be a leader in the enterprise market with a focus on data storage and security, which, by the way, EMC, that's their whole shebang, is of course data storage and data security for giant enterprise markets. That's probably why you haven't heard of them, but they're one of the industry leaders. And they're very, very popular, but again, not in the consumer aspect. So I hadn't even heard about them before. No. And it's kind of weird to think that if most people haven't heard of it, why are they paying $67 billion? It's because to the right people, they're a big name.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, I can't grasp what are they getting for that kind of money? I mean, it's obviously their reputation. I guess getting their facilities.
Well, they said this, according to USA Today, that this deal makes Dell the third largest enterprise technology firm by revenue, behind HP and IBM. So, EMC was, of course, doing well on their own. So now that they're under the Dell umbrella, now they get to roll in their all their profits on all their user base and things like that. Yeah, Dell is now number 3 in terms of profits.
I'd like to read this quote from the chairman and CEO of EMC, Joe Tucci, has this quote. He says, "I'm tremendously proud of everything we built at EMC, from humble beginnings as a Boston-based startup to a global world-class technology company with an unyielding dedication to our companies. But the waves of change we now see in our industry are unprecedented, and to navigate this change, we must create a new company for a new era. I truly believe that the combination of EMC and Dell will prove to be a winning combination for our customers, employees, partners, and shareholders. Huh.
This is very common in technology, and I think it's something that, like, a lot of people kind of grew up startups back in the day. Used to be, I made a startup restaurant, I made a startup service, I made a startup whatever it is, and that's great and all. But in the tech industry, you make your startup, you try to make it big, and then you want to try to sell out as fast as you can. And it sounds bad. Selling out has always had a bad connotation to it. But in the technology arena, selling out's good. You make a lot of money. That's what the creator of Minecraft did, and he has himself a couple $1 billion in the bank. Because technology, it's great. It's you put in your hard work, you make your brand, you do it, you sell, and then hey, sell it off, and you quit, and then you go do something else. And everything that you've learned, everything that everything that made the first company great, you can just take it and turn around and apply it to another company, the next week. It's nothing, it's nothing proprietary that you're really doing. Well, so it's good to see that they've started as a startup, and it's good to see that they sold out, because the technology is sound, their customer base is obviously happy, and now under Dell, it seems like they want to keep the brand intact and, just better things with more capital behind them.
Yeah, and that Joe Tucci, that CEO, he's out. Michael Dell is now taking over as chairman and CEO of EMC.
Right, so he's gone. We'll probably see him with another company before the end of the year.
Yeah. All right, we got another news festival review coming up. We got a short break. This is the Computer America Show. Ben and I will be right back with more computer and technology news. Stay with us. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
No, I'm not running for president. Hi, it's Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America, this time Withings Home. How could we not want to review Withings Home? It's a small cylinder shorter than a soup can with a superb camera, mic, speaker, motion detector, air quality sensor, and more. It's for placing in a home area you want to monitor, letting it alert you to noise or motion, letting it open to a slightly delayed live feed with the ability to talk back, and capturing snippets of any trigger activities so you can review them. That's where we fell out of love with it. The video feeds to the handset were unreliable, dropping at random times. The catalog of snippets quickly grows too large to be useful. We wish they'd offered more configurability. Bottom line, for quiet and usually empty places like apartments, a Withings home can be the watchdog that takes shots but never needs them. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. We just finished up Computer and Technology News, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And in this hour, we're going to shift gears once again and speak to our next guest, the North American Insulation Manufacturers Association, better known as NAIMA. And by the way, they are recognized as the voice of the insulation industry for architects and builders, design, process, and maintenance engineers, contractors, code groups, and standards organizations, government agencies, public interest, energy and environmental groups, and homeowners. Wow. Now, NAIMA is an authoritative resource on energy efficiency, sustainable performance, and the application and safety of fiberglass, rock wool, and slag wool insulation products. Now, here to tell us more about all this is Stacy Fitzgerald-Red. She is NAIMA's Director of Communications. Stacy, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. So tell us, I kind of introduced, but why don't you tell us about NAIMA and your organization's role?
So great. Again, NAIMA is the North American Insulation Manufacturers Association, and we represent the manufacturers of fiberglass, rock, and slag wool insulation products. We also serve as an authoritative resource for various stakeholder audiences that want more information about insulation and its role in energy efficiency, sustainability, and environmental preservation.
Okay. That's quite a role to be in charge of. So tell us a little about this 3P revolution. What is the 3P revolution?
So the 3P revolution essentially represents insulation's role in protecting people, their pocketbooks, and the planet. We all know that insulation plays a role in keeping your house comfortable, but it also plays a great role in reducing your energy costs and also preserving the planet. Obviously, if your house has adequate levels of insulation, it does not use excessive energy, and this helps reduce carbon dioxide emissions. So it's actually great for the planet as well.
Okay.
So, and if we were on some kind of Miss America pageant and we had to give our best convincing answer, I know I would choose people, but I guess from those 3Ps, which do you think would be the great equalizer? Like, do you think it really is about the people, or do you think people should really sit up and take notice that, hey, this, just redoing your installation can really save you a lot of money?
Yeah, well, insulation has a benefit of being great both for the planet as well as for people, obviously, in terms of comfort of your home. When you think about how much energy the typical person uses to heat and cool their home, that's a tremendous amount of energy that is used for that purpose. And because of the energy used there, consumers can actually save more if they better insulate their homes.
All right. Well,
makes sense.
Makes sense. Whoops! Did we lose you, Stacy?
Nope, I'm still here.
Okay. So what I wanted to find out a little bit, I don't know how long NAIMA has been around, but does your organization prevent things like there was the big debacle with asbestos and with insulation of that, and it was found to be bad for people's health. Do you monitor things like that so things like that don't happen again?
Well, essentially, unfortunately, fiberglass suffers from a legacy reputation of asbestos. There is no asbestos in fiberglass insulation as it's currently manufactured. And it's unfortunate that that reputation is still out in the public domain, but we want to make it clear to consumers and other people who are interested in various insulation products that asbestos is not something that you commonly find or is found in insulation products in modern day.
So let's talk about the benefits of using fiberglass, rock, and slag wool insulation in our homes today. What would be some of the benefits?
Well, again, one of the great benefits of using fiberglass, rock, and slag wool insulation is its ability to protect consumers in terms of making their homes more energy efficient and more comfortable, in terms of not having tremendous fluctuations in the temperature in the home. Insulation obviously serves that role because it makes a home more airtight and more energy efficient. In addition to that, fiberglass, rock, and slag wool insulation products have some of the highest levels of recycled content of all insulation products. An average of 50% to 70% with rock wool insulation in particular of recycled content is what is used in the production of these products. So again, it's a very environmentally sustainable type of insulation.
Can anyone install this, or do you need professional contractors to put this in?
That is the great thing about fiberglass and rock wool insulation products. They can be installed by the homeowner, or if the homeowner chooses, they can have those insulation products installed by a certified contractor. And basically, with blown in fiberglass or mineral wool insulation, you can rent equipment at your local home improvement store to install those products. With bat insulation, which is what most consumers are probably familiar with, you don't need to have any kind of special equipment at all, and it's actually very easy to install on your own.
Okay, so,
and
I'm sorry.
Real quick, but I'll admit I'm not a contractor or anything like that. So I have of course heard about fiberglass insulation, probably because there's a Pink Panther on it. But the other two I'm not quite so familiar with. So what are some rock wool, slag wool, mineral wool? What are they compared to fiberglass?
So mineral wool is a blanket term that's used to describe both rock and slag wool insulation. Rock wool and insulation is made exactly as it sounds. It contains minerals and different types of mineral products, including essentially rock wool insulation.
Right.
It's exactly the way that it sounds. And slag wool insulation is actually made from blast furnace slag. So it is a byproduct of steel production. And that is used and turned into insulation, which is actually very efficient for homeowners. Again, one of the great things about rock and slag wool insulation is that they contain typically a high percentage of recycled content, which makes them actually not just good for people or consumers, but also great for the planet, in that you're not using native resources to produce more insulation product.
Now, are we talking about temperature insulation, or are we talking a combination of temperature and, let's say, sound insulation? Because I remember we had a contract here. They said there were different types of insulation. One would provide a better shield against audio, sound, give you better isolation. What are we talking about? Both types of insulation?
Well, let me just say that basically the insulation that is commonly used to help make your home more energy efficient actually has the benefit of providing an acoustical benefit as well, in terms of muting sound. A lot of times people who live in multifamily dwellings are familiar with the fact that they can hear their neighbor next door. Sometimes when a person does something as quiet as coughing, maybe, if the walls are not well insulated, you would hear that. But better insulation helps block that sound so that you're not so able to hear your neighbors as they turn on the shower or turn on a television. That's the benefit of insulation and having adequate levels of insulation in the home.
So it's not necessarily the material itself. It's the same material for temperature and or audio insulation as well.
In some cases, there are minor differences in the production of the product, but it is essentially the same insulation that is used for thermal protection can also be used for acoustical protection.
Okay. So you get both. It's like two for the price of one. You get the
exactly.
benefit.
You get both things for the price of that one product, and insulation is a performer in terms of its contribution to energy efficiency. Most people are familiar with being in a home, sometimes particularly older homes that tend to be have temperature fluctuations from room to room. In the wintertime, if you're in the family room of a home that was built, say 50, 60 years ago, 9 times out of 10, you're going to feel a little bit of draftiness. And there are lots of different ways that your house could lose air, could be losing heat when it is cold outside as you're heating home. But one of the easiest ways to kind of stem some of those losses is to air seal and insulate your attic. And most people should know that this is something that's very easy for the typical consumer to do.
And does it not
do it? Growing up, my parents said, "Oh no, that's just spirits walking around. That's ghosts." No, it was shoddy insulation. They knew it. They tried to pass it off as something else. I knew it.
So what about now? Is it not only for heat, but it also for keep air conditioning and cool air? In other words, in the summertime.
Absolutely. That's the benefit of insulation. If your house is properly air sealed and insulated, it'll keep the warm air in the winter and the cool air in.
In the summertime.
In the summer, you won't lose some of that air and therefore be wasting money. It's like not having an open window, in your home. Obviously, if it's the middle of winter and you have your thermostat set at 75, but you have 3 out of the 4 windows in one room open, you're going to be losing energy because you're paying for that heat loss. Insulating and air sealing your home is the easiest, most cost-effective way you can help reduce those losses as a result of air leakage in the home.
All right. So tell us now about when I heard you said anyone can install it. I know insulation will come in these sheets, that you can put on. But I remember at the time we had some put on. We had to hire a professional contractor. They came with a large truck, and it had these hoses. Are you saying now that people can actually do that kind of process installation themselves? They've made smaller versions of that, so you can go out and rent it.
They certainly can. At many home improvement stores, they have machines that are used to essentially install blown-in fiberglass insulation, and it very similar to the BAT product. It comes in a bag, and you load it into a blower, and then you can blow it into your attic, and that's how easy it is to do that.
Wow. Okay. And you can rent these where? Yeah, I mean, do you go to supermarkets, or you go to what kind of organization?
Or like Home Depot, Lowe's kind of deal.
Many big box home improvement stores like your Lowe's and your Home Depot will have this type of equipment available.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about public health benefits. Are there any public health benefits using this material, and what are they, if there are?
Absolutely. One of the things that insulation does, is that it helps protect pollutants from getting into your home. This obviously improves the indoor air quality. For example, in recent years, there's been a tremendous increase in the number of people who suffer from allergies and other ailments like asthma. Insulation is something that within the walls, within the attic, actually absorbs some of the pollutants that would come and get into a home and stops them from getting into the home, therefore exacerbating existing conditions such as asthma and allergies. So again, another tremendous benefit of insulation is that public health benefit.
Is there any kind of a buildup that goes on with that over the years that has to be cleaned out, or is it just basically it's biodegradable and goes away on its own?
You mean the insulation?
Yeah. In other words, you say allergens and things get it, and this blocks the allergens. Then do you eventually have to clean out the insulation itself, or does it?
No, the way that it works, if your insulation is properly installed, you will have air sealed prior to installing the insulation. So that air sealing combined with that insulation package will actually stop the pollutants from getting into your house.
I see.
So it's not like you'd have to clean the insulation to get the pollutants out. It just blocks the pollutants from getting in.
Talk to me.
So it's not a filter.
No, it's not a filter. It's basically just blocks it from getting in completely.
There you go.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about tax exemptions. Are there any? Are states offering that, or any kind of rebates? I know a lot of states will have programs like that. What's the story with insulation?
Yeah, there are actually state and local governments as well as public utilities that offer rebates and incentives for consumers to make various energy efficient improvements to their home. That could include doing things like installing windows, or obviously installing insulation, a very cost-effective home improvement, and in terms of getting your bang, really getting your bang for your buck. You can find out about those incentives and rebates by visiting NAIMA's website at naima.org. I do know that the federal government is actually also offering a rebate, essentially, for consumers who undertake certain energy efficient improvements, including insulation. And the rebate credit, I think, is up to $500. So again, for more information about that, you can visit the NAIMA website, naima.org.
Can you give me a typical what it would cost to let's say an average 2,500 square foot home to put this kind of insulation? What kind of ballpark numbers could you give me, our listeners?
If we're talking about adding attic insulation, which is something that consumers can do themselves, I really can't give you a ballpark because there isn't a typical. It depends on the area that we're talking about in terms of adding insulation to the attic. But fiberglass insulation and rock wool insulation, for that matter, are very cost efficient and actually on the lower end in terms of cost for insulation products. And again, what makes them so easy to use for consumers is that they're easy to install. In most cases, don't require special equipment unless we're talking about blown-in insulation. But again, the equipment is available at your local big box stores, nor do they require specialized training to install. They're easy to install. They just require safety gloves and a mask to install, no chemical protection suit, no mixing of chemicals, no installing chemical products in the wall. It's easy to do and very, very cost effective for consumers to do.
So basically, if you have drywall or something, you have to cut a hole into the drywall, blow the insulation in, and then just
seal it up.
Seal it up? Is that basically?
Yes, if we're talking about retrofitting a home with insulation, wall insulation, yes, it would have to be blown-in insulation.
Right, exactly. All right, well, let's talk. Obviously, you got your finger on the pulse of insulation. Is there such a thing as I guess you would call it the holy grail of insulation? I mean, like inexpensive, green, has a great R factor, it's noise reducing, it's lung friendly, it kills pests, it's fireproof.
Part of a complete breakfast.
Right, exactly. I mean, is there such a thing yet, or are you still looking for it?
Well, I'd have to tell you, I think depending on who you ask, and I can tell you that, again, fiberglass and rock wool insulation, again, are great products for those reasons. They actually check off a lot of those boxes. High recycled content, can get you to whatever R value is required. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about fiberglass and mineral wool insulation compared to other products is that it doesn't deliver in terms of R value. And again, we have studies, including the recent Building Science Corporation thermometric study that essentially shows that it doesn't matter what type of insulation you use, as long as you properly air seal the insulation prior to installing it and install it correctly, it'll deliver whatever R value you install it at. So it doesn't matter whether the product is a fiberglass product, a mineral wool product, or a cellulose product. As long as you properly air seal that home, it will deliver the R value that you're looking for. But in terms of cost benefit, again, fiberglass, absolutely cost effective and easy for consumers to use, as is mineral wool, and they deliver in terms of our value. Another great benefit about fiberglass and mineral wool insulation is that they do not combust. Cellulose insulation, for example, is made out of recycled newspapers and treated with fire retardant in order to prevent them becoming flammable and contributing to fires. Fiberglass and mineral wool insulation don't need to have chemical fire retardants because they're not combustible. They will not combust in a fire. So that's a great benefit for them. Another great benefit of those products is that they don't hold water. So they would, for example, if newspaper gets wet, newsprint gets wet, it's going to be soggy and messy.
Yeah.
Fiberglass and mineral wool insulation will not absorb water.
Yeah, it sounds to me, Stacy, that you really that you're really saying that fiberglass, by all the different variables, that seems to be one of the best insulators out there. You mentioned R factor again, or what is, for our listeners? Tell us what R factor is.
The R factor is essentially the ability of an insulation to resist heat flow. So in building code requirements that stipulate that R factor is the measure by which you meet the criteria for meeting code, essentially. So, for example, I live in climate zone 4, and attic insulations levels in climate zone 4 should meet R49 levels of insulation. This is a fairly moderate climate, and that's the insulation level according to current building code. And that basically means you should have a certain level of insulation in order to provide the maximum heat flow protection.
And where does fiberglass and rock and slag will fall into that range?
Typical fiberglass bat insulation are 13 to 15, and again, you'd have to install a couple of inches. You'd have to install it to a certain inch of depth in order to meet those requirements. But again, it doesn't matter what product you use. If you're meeting a certain R factor, you just install to that level using that product.
Okay. It sounds a little complicated, but you're saying that most consumers can now do this themselves, going to the local Home Depot or Lowe's or what have you, and with the equipment that's available. Do they sell the material itself in addition to the equipment? Is it all like all in one stop that you can do this?
Absolutely, and many consumers who, for example, have seen spikes in their energy bills will look at ways to kind of reduce their energy costs. And one of the more well-known ways is to have your home properly insulated. When you go into a big box home improvement store, you'll see that you can buy fiberglass bat insulation, and you can buy fiberglass blown-in insulation. Same with rock wool. You can find it in most big box stores, and install it either the bat form or the blown-in insulation.
Okay, so besides filling our walls with it, would you say there are any other everyday uses for insulation?
Walls and ceilings and floors. If you look at the way the more energy efficient modern building codes have evolved, they call for increasing levels of insulation throughout the home, but they also require that a home be adequately air sealed. In some cases, homes may have near adequate levels of insulation but aren't properly air sealed.
Yeah.
You need to look for areas within your home, within your attic, specifically around chimneys and wiring, where there is airflow and basically you can get air sealant again at your local home improvement store to fill those gaps, and then add more insulation, creating a more airtight structure and reducing your energy costs.
Well, Stacy, this has been very eye-opening, and I want to thank you for being very helpful, and hopefully our listeners will pick up some of this stuff. And I think there's some great information. You can go again to the website, which is naima.org, naima.org, www. And you can check out the website yourself, and our listeners can check it out. And Stacy, I want to thank you so much for being here with us on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, you take care. Have a great day now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, there you go.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, there you go. NAIMA, N-A-I-M-A, and you can check it out for yourself. Again,
very important. Again, coming up on the, coming up on the holiday season.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. You want to be well insulated.
You do.
Exactly. Oh, that about wraps up the show. Again, I want to thank My Digital Shield for being here on the in the first hour, telling us about
Mr. Andrew.
Yes, Andrew Bagrin, for being here on the program. And let's see, what do we got coming up tomorrow? Oh,
90 seconds.
It's our Gamer Tuesday show. Okay, Josh Boykin is going to be joining us here. Josh is we're going to be talking about some of the things we're going to be discussing for both hours. Star Wars Battlefront is out. The beta version of Star Wars Battlefront is out. So they're going to talk about it. Also, the most anticipated game of the holiday. I won't tell you what it is, but these are some of the things we're talking about. And also, we'll talk about games for Halloween.
60 seconds.
Theme games, as well as generally spooky games. All those are more. So if you love games, you definitely want to be here tomorrow afternoon with correspondent Josh Boykin talking about all the great things. He's also a contributing editor for Pop's Era magazine. It's going to be a fun show, and we invite all of you to join us here. Same time, same station here at Computer America. That about wraps it up. Again, thank you all so very much for joining us on this Monday afternoon. And Ben and I will see you here tomorrow. So until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. See you tomorrow afternoon.
Have a good one, everyone.
10 seconds.
Bye-bye. Auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, everybody, thanks again for watching our show. And Ben and I will see you here tomorrow. Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.